Okay. Okay, we're going to do a very specific breath meditation today. Keep working on this. Remembering that there's a sense in which we are interested in exploring the peaceful aspects of the breath. And we've been talking about this word calmness for a bit. And there's always a tension here because we're not trying to force ourselves to be calm, right? We can't get in a battle with how we're not calm or how we're not peaceful. But we are going to make an effort to attend to calmness, peacefulness, becoming aware of how the breath, in this case, how the breath, where it feels good, what what part of the breath feels the best, what is calming in the breath, what is peaceful in the breath. And we'll always just start a little bit with our whole body. We often start by just taking our whole experience in and just allowing it to be as it is. Then we can focus in a little bit on the breath and the body. And just here's my whole body as I'm breathing. And if you've been doing this for a while, you can sort of feel the energetic body all the way into your toes, all the way into the core of your body, your bones, as you go in and out. So I'm going to keep pointing out places where you might notice this settling quality in the breath. And the first place you might notice it is if you expand your view like this, you take in the whole body rather than a narrow part of the body. So you're sitting in your room. You can even take a little bit of almost sit behind your head and just feel the whole body breathe in and out. So expanding, that's the first way to get a little softness or settling in your system is to expand your attention with. And again, you can get in a fight there where you're trying to expand it and your attention might be bouncing around in a narrower way. That's okay. Just being somewhat aware that there's a wider view possible nearby. The second thing, broad way that we can encourage or experience the calmness or peacefulness in breath is in letting go of controlling it. So this can be hard on its own too. You just sort of watch the breath and you wait for it to come in and you wait for it to go out. And there's lots of degrees of letting go of controlling it. We don't even realize sometimes. So we just keep practicing that. And today we're going to do some very specific breathing observations, and that might keep making you sort of start controlling when you breathe in or when breathe out. And that's okay. Just notice that. Don't make it too complicated, but if you can, you let go of control. Just let the breath happen when the breath wants to happen. Your body knows how to breathe. You don't need to come in and meddle, but you can just watch. And so, most importantly, don't take my word for this. Can you notice the experience when you let go of a little control, when you expand your view a little bit? Okay, so make sure your jaw is relaxed. Keep your lips closed, but see if you can keep your tongue on the top of your mouth, the tip of your tongue. Just resting relaxed. The back of the tongue is relaxed at the back of the throat. The front of the tongue is touching the top of the palate. Make sure your neck is sort of being pulled to the sky, but there's some space in the throat area. And then once again, see if you can let go, control the breath. We're just going to feel it coming in the nostrils now. And so the broad thing we can do to notice peacefulness is the basic mindful practice of really tuning into sensory contact. So in Buddhist practice is usually called bare attention, and I call going down to the bottom level of sensory contact, just feeling the coolness or the pressure. And what we're trying to do is experience that breath coming into the nostrils and letting go of any filter we're adding on top of it, any pictures, any thoughts, any judgments, any need to control, anything but the sensation. And again, this is not immediately easy for everybody. It's just a practice. So we don't want to get into a huge effort. We want to go down as low as is easy right now. So just as we want to expand as much as it is easy when we try the expansion. We want to let go of as much control as is easy. And here we want to go down and just feel, what is it? Pressure? Is it temperature? Is it a tingle? Where are you feeling the breath? Just see if you can stay down at that level. And just notice the thoughts that come along, the pictures that come along, the filter, the judgments, those are all above this bare attention. There's something that's added on top of the sensory contact. And there's a peacefulness in this as well when you get a hold of it, because it's like you're sinking below the surface of the ocean. It's all the stuff, the world, the beach, all the kids are playing, and there's planes going on overhead, and the water splashing, and then you slowly sink below all of that down, and you're still in contact with the ocean, but now it's just ocean and just the ocean floor. Okay, so we're going to do a little, it's a little strange. Again, make sure your jaw is relaxed. Just going to keep letting the breath come in the nostrils, but it's almost like the breath stays at the level of nostrils and just moves straight backwards. It's almost as if it's moving into the sinuses, but then sort of into the ears, into the center of the back of the mouth. You might feel it. So we're just moving into the body and it's feeling the breath come in. It's sort of peaceful and it's moving in to the head space. As we do this, we want to see if we can, and this is going to depend on your sinuses, and if you can keep your mouth closed and the breath can just slowly get slow enough and soft enough that you can't hear it. That you're just feeling it, but it's silent. Now, again, another area where not to get into a big battle, but just see, oh, maybe it's easy for me to let go of a little more effort. And it's almost like the breath is seeping in to our body rather than being sucked into our body. Going back into the back of the mouth, into the mouth, back of the mouth, the ears, but through the nostrils. We're also always noticing here what feels peaceful, what feels calm. We also need to notice what's irritating, what's activating. So if I've given you an instruction and it's activating, then you want to pull back on that effort of that instruction. For instance, I might say, let's see how long the out breath can get without controlling it. So it's sort of like an intention to let the out breath just go as long as it wants. And you might notice some emotion or anxiety coming up as you're breathing out. It just might be very subtle. And then you just let go of any of it. You just let your body know you can breathe in whenever you want. Okay. Because that's always true. And we don't get rid of the anxiety. We just use that as a sign. And then we go back and see what feels good in this process. So noticed, I've been mentioning sort of universal things or things that most people can notice, but you need to notice your own specific experience. It's going to be so unique and specific. What's happening to your eyes? What's happening to your ears? What, what calmness happens if you release your eyes? What calmness happens if you imagine your head expanding? Or what calmness happens if you feel the breath filling the mouth? Or can you notice on the out breath the sinking down, the releasing, the softening? Where does it happen? In the jaw, in the palate, in the tongue, in the whole face, the whole musculature of the face is dropping down the neck. Okay, so I'm just adding a vertical dimension now when I said dropping down. So the horizontal is coming in through the nostrils and just moving straight back into the head and sort of expanding as it does that. So it's going into the mouth, the back of the throat, the ears, the sinuses. But there's a vertical dimension. So as we move into the center of the head, as we breathe in, feel it coming into the nostrils. And as we breathe out, it's almost as if it comes down from the crown of the head, and the crown of the head just sinks down, lets go right through the center of your body, right through the center of your head and down towards the center of the rest of the body. The challenge of the power of this meditation is we're slowly relaxing piece by piece the parts of the brain apparatus, the mind, the thinking mind apparatus that is physical. The danger is that we're right up there in the brain where a lot of our thoughts and cognitive stuff happens. So you just have to notice that that's happening. Just keep coming back to the physical. What does the top of my skull feel like as I breathe out? Is it connected to the middle of my brain, into my sinuses, to my back of my throat? Is my breath getting quieter and quieter? Is it getting longer and longer? It doesn't have to, but are you in some way resisting it from getting quieter? Are you forcing it to be louder? Are you forcing it to be quicker than it needs to be? Okay, so now when we breathe in, we're going to go all the way back to the base of the skull, right where the neck and the skull meet. So just above this area in the brain is going to be the visual center. And then in this area is going to be sort of our lizard brain type of autonomic responses. And we're just going to breathe all the way to the back. And then when we breathe out, we're going to let it relax. It's softening. It's almost like the back of our skull is just opening, like the lungs themselves, just sort of expanding and dripping like honey down the back of our neck. So what if this feels really good? It's another way of exploring what feels calm is asking, what if this felt really good? Because that will encourage you to notice the way it already does feel good. So you might feel that the back of your neck is blocked or tight, and that's fine. You're experiencing it that way. But you can ask, what if it felt good to breathe into this area, to let it melt? Now, this is a very fundamental part of the brain, and we're sort of working on it directly now, which is unusual. It's where, all our like basic automatic responses come from our fear response, our fight response, our jumping away from a snake response. Obviously, I'm bringing up all these little scary things. You can feel it get activated, and then you just let it soften. Now it's connected deep down and it's connected right into our gut. So you might feel now you're going to breathe in naturally, and it's going to, with almost without effort, it's just seeping into your head through the nostrils, into the sinuses, the ears, the mouth, all the way back to the base of the skull. And then as you breathe out, that's going to soften and open, and then it's going to drop, the breath is going to drop all the way down right into the gut. And it's not the surface of the gut, it's like right in the center. It's like below the belly button, but moving towards the spine. When you soften around the base of the neck, you also can get a softening in the belly and the sacrum. There's a connection between the just below the belly button all the way back to the sacrum, which is the flat part of the base of the spine. So we're just going to do this for a few more minutes. And so the out breath, we're just emphasizing, noticing expansion, relaxation, softening in the back of the skull, base of the skull, and the sacrum and the belly. The sacrum, you can also, these are the interesting thing about these areas is we don't think of them, they're like the sacrum is a bone, so we don't think of as it relaxing, but we hold a lot of tension there. It's one of the chakras. So is this activating or is it calming? You just want to notice that. If your mind starts getting activated, that's not unsurprising if we're relaxing areas where we might hold tension or emotion. And so we just keep coming back to the parts of the breath, reminding ourselves, oh, yeah, that felt good. I'm going to go back and touch that. Oh, yeah, that was calming. I'm going to go back and experience that. Oh, yeah, when I breathe out, but it's like I'm not doing anything and I can't even hear it, that feels very calming in my body. So you've got these things that you've been sort of finding along the way. So when you get to an area that is going the other direction, you don't have to run away from it, but you can meet it, greet it with all these other supports around, these resources. And then you say, well, what if this area that feels a little activating? What if it felt good? What would that, where would I find that? It's a reminder that the practice is always to allow us just to experiencing things as they are. But that requires us also noticing when something takes us out of experiencing, when something moves us into resistance. So if we don't notice that, then we'll just move into resistance and we'll no longer be able to notice how things actually are. We wait, and then the breath seeps in through the nostrils and into our head, and all the way back to the base of the spine, filling the head all the way. We breathe out, the crown softens, the base of the skull softens and widens, the sacrum softens and widens, the belly releases, and then we wait, and the breath seeps in again. Where are you holding? And before you ask that question, make sure you just take all the judgment out of the words. Well, I'm curious. Where am I holding? We're practicing non-resistance to our life. And we're doing it step by step, just noticing, oh, when I don't resist there, it feels good. And that's slowly going to teach the parts of us that are resisting, man, every time we don't resist it, it feels better. We're practicing non-resistance to the arising and passing away of life. So keeping all of that operating, but just going back to the beginning, oh yeah, if I expand a little, maybe it gets even more peaceful. So the breath is seeping in, but we're sort of aware now of the whole body as it seeps in. The breath seeps into the whole body. There's parts that move, like the belly expands and the chest. We can feel it seeping into our skin, all the way down our legs and toes, our hands and arms. What does the whole body feel like as we soften the base of the skull, as we soften the sacrum, the whole spine in between, as we sink into our seat? Where am I holding? And what if this holding was not a problem? Okay. So let's allow a deep in breath. You can even let it seep in, but just see if you notice if you get out of the way, that seeping in just keeps happening. It's almost like you can have a really, really long in breath because it's happening so slowly, just filling and filling and filling. And when you're ready for an out breath, you can let it go with a sigh. You can have some voice on it, vocalization if you want. Letting go of that requirement to have just silence. Ah. And when you're ready, you open your eyes and you look out at the world, you stretch, or move, or hug yourself how you want to. Or, and for some of you who do this meditation in the future, maybe on YouTube or wherever, you may hear me talking, but you've just gotten so peaceful and quiet that you just want to keep sitting there. And there's absolutely no reason for you to get up if you don't have a need to. Just see if you cannot fall asleep. You stay deeper and deeper into relaxation.